Hey there, YouTube. We're back again for more of our Gencon Bonanaza Explosion blog coverage. Here live at Gencon 2019. Thanks in part to all of our amazing Kickstarter backers who help send us here year after year after year. These spectacular companies right here who were nice enough to donate games to our Kickstarter to help send us here. And also, of course, our big sponsors, Steve Jackson Games, who have Deadly Doodles, their new game. Be sure to check it out. I'll leave a link down below. And Tasty Minstrel Games, who sponsors everything we do. So, we just got done at the Fantasy Flight In-Flight Report, which is this big event that Fantasy Flight puts on every year. I'm here with my co-host Eric Baca.
Oh, whoa, dude. Full name?
And we're going to be talking about the Fantasy Flight In-Flight Report. So it's this really interesting big event where they pack a whole bunch of people into a place and they announce all the big things.
Huge room.
Yes.
Big room, full of people, absolutely full. They have cameras on jibs, running around, big stage, bright lights.
It's a big production. It's not what you're used to seeing at Gen Con at all, or just pretty much in any conventions, which is really cool.
Appreciate the theatrics.
Yes, and they announce all the big stuff for Fantasy Flight from all their previous stuff and all the new stuff. They have surprise announcements, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to be going through, telling you some of these, and also our thoughts on them as we go, but also giving you a feel for how the show works. Because it was an interesting show. So first, before we get started, let's put you in a frame mindset. What's your thoughts on Fantasy Flight games in general? For me personally, I like Fantasy Flight games. I get excited when they announce new big IPs. The games themselves, I don't really have that many Fantasy Flight games except for like the regular board games, like your Battlestar Galactas and whatnot. But I'm still excited about it. So I was excited to see what the announcements were. Relatively excited. What about you?
Fantasy Flight? I don't know. I don't know what they do. I'm much more of a casual gamer.
Yep.
I don't really recognize the brands as much as
The games.
you or other people might. Well, no, I mean as far as like the company backing the games.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, yeah, I might know the game. I might not know who.
Yeah, you might know Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
but you don't know who makes it. I got it.
Sure.
So yeah, so you're getting two very different perspectives right here. So it starts off, it's got a cool intro video. It's pretty cool. They talk about the new Arkham Horror Final Hour, which is going to be this cool cooperative game. We actually got a chance to, I got a chance to try it out. Be sure to watch that video if you're more interested. Where essentially they wanted to take a lot of the fun elements out of Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror and boil it down into a 1 hour game. And they were able to successfully do that with this game. And how it works is you were going to be going around this college, this haunted college, because they're trying to raise Cthulhu, because they always freaking do. That's their club. And it's a really interesting mechanism where it's completely cooperative, and there's going to be these 10 circles down at the bottom, which are going to be different shapes. There's going to be 5 different shapes. They're going to be on there 2 times. And scattered around the board, there's going to be 8 tokens that match 8 of those spots. And down at the bottom, there's going to be 2 tokens that match 2 of those spots. So what you're trying to do is go to these areas, fight monsters, uncover different things so you can try and predict or guess what those last 2 down there are. And we got a chance to play a really interesting game. I think this is going to be a big hit for them. What did you think about it? I mean, you didn't get a chance to demo it like I did, but what did you just think about just the concept itself?
I will say I am a sucker for artwork, and I really like the artwork. I like the layout. I like the pieces, pawns, all of that. And yeah, I could see myself investing some time in that.
Because you played Arkham Horror at one time, I think. I think Alan brought it over and you played it one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played it.
And it's a great game. I really enjoy Arkham Horror, and I enjoy the experience. I enjoy the story it weaves and how you kind of role play the different characters. But that time length is just a beast. And Eldritch Horror, sometimes it's worse than Arkham Horror. I know you haven't played that one, but it's a beast as well. So I like the fact that they're going to be able to try and hopefully compress that story down and make it into an hour game. I don't think the story elements are going to come out nearly as strongly as in those other 2 games, but I think a lot of the gameplay experience is going to be there. So I'm excited about this one. I think it's a really cool looking game. Plus, unlimited room for expansions as well.
If you know what the game is, you're going to like it.
All right. Next thing we got is the drive-through RPG. They talk about role-playing stuff. This is where my eyes kind of glazed over. So they got this Genesis thing. Apparently it's really cool. Lets other people do stuff with RPGs, like you can create your own stuff. They're going to have an expansion. And also, apparently they're now opening up to drive-through RPG, which actually did sound cool, where people can write scenarios, I believe, for this role-playing game.
So, hold
Put
on.
them up there.
I wrote down some buzzwords. Star Wars. Creativity, realms, Android.
This is how bored
Rule
he was during this. And I'll be honest with you, I think for a lot of people there, a lot of the miniatures games, this was just like eye-glazing. And that's one thing that I thought was really interesting. They cover everything. They cover their miniatures games. They cover their collectible card games with the. They cover the Keyforge. They cover the this and the that. And they, not everybody there cares about all that stuff. The overwhelming majority of them, I imagine, don't care about all this stuff. They have their own niche. It's like, I really love the role-playing Genesis system. I really love that. So it was a really weird crowd in that aspect where everybody was kind of forced to clap, and it was bad. It was bad, all the forced clapping. Sometimes they were weaker than other times, which just made it even more funny.
I mean, I hate to be critical, but, I mean, just because you're a good game developer doesn't necessarily make you a good pitch man,
Yeah.
And there was some of that where it was just like, oh, yeah, okay, like, I'll see this at the table tomorrow. Like, you've already told me I could see this at the table.
Okay, so here's the question. What's the ratio? How often were we clapping per, are you saying once per minute, once per 3 minutes on average? Because I think it might have been less than once per 3 minutes. We were doing a lot of clapping. I didn't do any clapping. I'm not for that. Clap for certain things.
The expected clap. Is that what you're talking
about?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get off the claps. It was awkward. It was weird. I enjoyed it. I love that sort of thing.
It was just kind of it wasn't weird. It wasn't bad. It was just like not good,
See, I love it.
It was fine. Like, it was fine.
All right. Let's get off the clapping. Give it
fine.
It's fun.
No.
But the cool thing is now you can essentially write RPGs for the Genesis system based on their IPs or something like that, and then
what they're saying, like, ultimately, like, once we got to the point to where I saw it on the table and I saw the cards moving and I saw all the components. Yeah, like, I was like, oh, okay, this is more than just superficial, like, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing that. And it was, I don't know. It was better once I saw it on the table. I guess it was poorly presented.
What was poorly presented?
In general, just the descriptions.
Okay, we'll get to more of that. So the role-playing stuff, they get some role-playing stuff. The big announcement, though, I think, was that the fact that Keyforge is going to be in their Genesis system. So if you're like the Keyforge games, now you can bring it over to the RPG. And I'm wondering what the kind of crossover that is. But okay. So then they got to, again, more Captain Rex books, Star Wars Legion. Star Wars Legion, the big miniatures game. So this was big. Yeah. Excitement. I started writing stuff down. There's going to be a Galactic Republic and then a Separatist. And then I stopped writing stuff down because it was literally just, and then in October we're going to do this, and then November we're going to do that. And we got these guys, we got here, we got... But I will list them off real quick. There's Captain Rex, there's Dooku, Phase 2 Clone Troopers, B2 Battle Droids. There's going to be some really cool vehicles. Those actually did look really
cool. Yeah, I wrote a lot of that down.
And then the bunkers as well. So, for most people, this is the kind of thing where they just zoom through it. But if this is, interesting to you, and that's the topic, that's cool. Same thing, X-Wing, I didn't write down everything, I just put more stuff. There's going to be more X-Wing stuff. I know water is wet. So much awkward clapping. Yeah, wrote that one down. There's card packs. Oh yeah, card packs for X-Wing. That was the big thing. That actually did look cool. It's going to add like new pilots. And I think there was like some new obstacles that you have to deal with, which I liked as well. And jump into anything tickled your fancy.
I honestly am trying to decipher my notes, and
yeah, you should get close in on zooming that of that. He was Rain Manning over there a little bit. So they announced some stuff for Keyforge, which they had these really cool new deck boxes actually.
You know what? Whatever you're into, if this is your thing, Q1 of 2020 is when you need to be paying attention. Q1 of 2020.
What are you talking about?
I heard that like 18 times over the night.
So,
like that
like a political thing?
What? No, just with them releasing things.
Oh, I thought this was like
Q1.
Like,
Q1 of 2020 is when they're releasing a lot of different things. Hey, I don't know if that's a coincidence, whatever. But I just heard that.
Are you conspiracy crafting right now? Is that what's happening here? Okay, let's post the comics below. You got me completely off guard. Keyforge, they got these really cool new deck boxes that actually like show off the name and the different factions in it.
They're okay.
They were really sticking cool, and you didn't see them up close. But they had and also one that was going to hold 3 different decks, and it had like a little spot to put all your tokens in the bottom. It was like this slide-out tray that you could leave next to you. Really well done, and the magnets That was the thing they really emphasized. The magnets were super hard. Like they were like, okay, woo. All right, and also they're going to have a Worlds Collide expansion. And the big deal with that is they have 2 new houses. So Dinosaurs and Space Alliance. And the Space Alliance was like, I think Star Trek or something like that. I think that was about And then the dinosaurs, which were cool. They were like Roman dinosaurs or something. They had a fancy name.
Oh, with the Mohawk helmet.
Yeah. That's going to be out in November. And the interesting thing that actually got booed a little bit, this is the one boo I heard.
Was it a boo?
There was some boos. There were numerous boos. I would say in the 15.
Grumbling.
I think in the 15 range of boos. Okay?
I'm not smitten with what they're doing, but I don't believe I heard a boo. I heard grumblings.
We'll check the tape. We won't, but someone will check the tape.
There is no tape.
But they're actually replacing 2 of the factions to put these 2 factions in. And I think people were hoping that they were all going to be just mashed up, so you'd have just crazy numbers of combinations. So that was a little bit of a bugaboo. Yeah, that's weird. And then the big thing.
Bugaboo.
Oh, 250 new cards to the pool, which got ooh.
Is that a boo?
But the big thing, let's start with the big thing. One of the big things was the Marvel Champions cooperative living card game. And we got a chance to demo this as well. And this was a big one. Like when they revealed that Marvel logo, people were like, what? Like, that was cool. That was cool. They started showing the artwork from the comic books. And this is a living card game, 1 to 4 players, cooperative, straight out of the box, where you're going to be playing as a superhero. And you're going to be playing both as that superhero and his alter ego. And there's going to be a mission that you're on. And it has some really cool mechanisms. Like, and a couple things that I liked is the fact it's 1 to 4 players, straight out of the box. Arkham Horror was not that way. And they really wanted to make it feel powerful. Like they said, their 4 design principles.
And cooperative.
Yes.
There's a big cooperative element where you can help everyone else.
But their 4 design philosophies were empower the players, which definitely, we pulled off some cool turns.
Yeah. And there was a lot of opportunities that we weren't able to take, but we could see.
Yes. There was in the humor. They wanted to get the humor across. We didn't really see that. It's mostly going to be in like the flavor text in the cards.
I did like the flavor text with the quotes from the graphic novels and from the comics.
Yeah.
Like those were character defining in some points, and I really did like that detail.
They wanted to be fast paced, which we played a demo game and it was fast paced. Like the turns are pretty brisk.
Yeah.
Player aid card was super useful, told us exactly what to do.
And it's one of those where once you learn the cards and you learn what you have at your disposal, it just moves that much faster. The whole game is built so that you go through your deck and that you cycle through these cards.
Yeah, so you get to the cards you want to, because we'll talk about that in a second, but it's also going to be a deck builder / pre-constructed, which I know is something a lot of people like. And then larger than life heroes, I don't even remember what that means. I think that was all just PR talk.
Larger than life
What
heroes?
was the
Is that what you wrote down?
No, that's what he put. It said these are the 4 principal things that we're going for, and larger than life heroes was the other one.
Well,
I think that
I don't
know what that means. Well, a few other stuff. I'm sure there's something else. But there's going to have 5 heroes in the core box: Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, Black Panther. It had some really cool elements. I think this is going to be a popular game.
You have your main people too, and this is what I like because Marvel, I mean, huge lore. But you have your main person, and you also have people helping you, and those people continuously are cycling even faster than some of the other cards.
That was pretty cool.
So you get extra characters who have extra abilities, and they probably only last maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 turns at best, and they're cycled through.
The other thing that I thought was cool is when you play as your alter ego, how it works is, at least the one we did, so Rhino is trying to break into S.H.I.E.L.D. And so there's 2 separate things. There's when I am Spider-Man, because you can play Spider-Man or Peter Parker, he stops his plan to come fight me, which does damage to me, which is obviously bad. But if I am Peter Parker, and you were Carol Danvers, because you were Captain Marvel, he goes back to his plan of trying to break into the S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. So it had like these thematic elements to it. We actually got to learn the
2 sides of it.
Yeah.
There's the scheme.
Yep.
The schemes, which is like behind the scenes, like I'm Peter Parker, or I'm trying to do this certain devious thing. and then there's like bam, attack, and I'm Spider-Man or I'm Rhino, and I'm just trying to blast through people. And there's the politics versus the war of it.
Yes. I don't think that example works when you said to the guy either. I still don't understand that. But the politics and the war.
Forever.
But I also I thought it was very thematic too. And we got a chance to learn from the co-designer, and the designer, I think it was lead designer, and he really, you could tell that was a passion project for him. Jessica Jones is way better at the master scheme, thwarting the master scheme, as opposed to Captain Marvel is going to punch you in your stupid face. I think they got a huge hit on their hands. I'm actually really excited for this one, and I think I might pick it up. But that is that game. Captain
that game. Champions, right?
Marvel Champions.
Champions.
So what do we got next? We got the thing, 3 scenarios in the core set. Oh, and it's coming out in October, so it's coming up close.
Hold on.
Yes.
Core set. Is that hard? Core set. Because literally that guy was like, the corset.
Oh, I thought you were
the corset. And I'm like, the corset? This isn't...
I didn't notice that.
You didn't?
No. All right, but they also did announce a lot of big plans for it. One that I thought was really kind of interesting, which is that there's going to be hero packs, there's going to be deck building or just pre-constructed packs, which I really like, scenario packs, campaign extensions, and this was cool, where it's going to have an interconnected kind of weaving story, which really fits. They got Green Goblin, Captain America, Miss Marvel, Wrecking Crew coming out. They had, so cool stuff. Then they had the
years, forever, plans and plans. And
yeah. Well, yeah, this is going to sell, money, which doesn't sell. But
hop on now.
You thought it was over, and actually this was really kind of cool, where they were like, oh, thank you, we're about to do Q&A. They're like, no, we're not, post-credit scene. And this guy's like, hey, I'm this guy from this company you never heard of. What's up? My name is Will Wright, or something. I think his name was Will. And he's like, boom, we got a Marvel Miniatures game. He didn't actually drop the name. But he was
there was actually a major malfunction.
Yeah, there was a major malfunction. There was a couple, actually. There was the screen came off at the beginning, which then turned into the crowd just kind of yelling at him for a little bit, which killed time. And then there was this where the clicker wasn't working. But this is the Marvel Crisis Protocol Miniatures game, and it's a Marvel Miniatures game, a skirmish game. The big thing they emphasized, and this was something that I was like, was they were like, the heart and soul of the game, of course, is the miniatures. It was like, no, it's the gameplay, right? That's the gameplay. Everything else, and he's like, and they started off by not talking about the game, but hard plastic. We're using hard plastic on this game, and I was like, really? You're not gonna lead with the game and then maybe talk about the plastic?
Honest, they started talking about throwing soda machines
we'll get
at each
there.
other, and I don't know.
I will say, it looks like a pretty cool game if you're actually into the miniatures game, because you got to put together your team, and your team can be good guys, you can be bad guys. They had some really cool looking characters. The miniatures look great, and they're hard plastic.
They're miniatures.
Hard plastic.
They're miniatures. Of course, they're scratching my miniature itch. I don't...
And then you can put together, if you put together superhero teams, they get slightly passive perks, which is better. It looked really cool. It looked like if you're into miniatures skirmish games, this could be a really stinking cool one. But the thing that was really interesting was it's coming out in fall 2019, is that they're going to have the terrain, and the terrain was really nice.
That was cool.
That you could throw, the Hulk could pick up a truck and throw it, but then that truck could then be used for cover, I'm guessing, or something like that, or be used in different things. So it actually affects the environment. Now I was hoping there was actually going to be a dexterity element to this game, and I'm not even joking.
Well, they were talking about a whole bunch of different elements that they were going to be working in, environmental elements.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. No dexterity elements, and then they talked about what's for the future. They really had a big future plan for this one. It's going to be next year. There's going to be raids where it's 2 people versus a dungeon master. There's going to be narrative campaigns. There's going to be organized play, which I thought was very interesting, which is not going to be tournaments at first. They want to encourage playing with each other, so everyone's getting participation awards. And yes, I'm going to call them that. Everybody gets a little participation trophy, but if you get the demos. You get, I'm sure, whatever promo cards or promo packs. And I thought this was a very interesting choice. I was like, wow, this seems like a really awesome head-to-head style game. Like maybe you got open, yeah, and then they're like, oh, actually, a year from now we're gonna unveil the competitive. I was like, I felt like that was a really interesting decision because this is probably something you don't know, but the X-Wing stuff is hugely popular because of the tournaments. There are tournaments upon tournaments upon tournaments upon tournaments.
You want that to be finely
and same with
calibrated.
Android Network games like that.
Yeah.
And so I was really surprised when they're like, it's only gonna be for funsies. Everybody's getting it. And then a year later, they're going to do the competitive. So I'm really interested to see.
So we're playtesting it. Is that what you're saying?
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think it's a really interesting thing to do, kind of biting the hand that feeds you because that competitive market is big on your games. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, that was the big thing. That was the Marvel, that they acquired Marvel. I'm pretty sure it's just the license to the comic images. Nothing from any of the movies, but that's fine. So overall, that was the Fantasy Flight in-flight report. After that, they did a Q&A. We didn't stick around for it because we actually got to try out some of these cool games we're talking about. But what did you think about your first Fantasy Flight in-flight report, Eric? No holds barred.
Man, I hate to be overly critical, but I wasn't excited by what they were telling me.
Okay, I was going to say, you mean just the announcements themselves?
I mean, what they were telling me, like, I wasn't excited by what they were telling me.
Okay, and coming at this from your perspective is you don't play too many games. You play mostly gateway-style games, maybe your lighter Euro here or there, and party games. So then
we left there, we played a game that they described, and I was more excited sitting there and looking at it than I was. But but what I'm saying is, like, it wasn't much of a trailer, as you will. You know, there wasn't much of a, here is the essence of the game. It was more like nitty gritty, which some people really like.
Like me, I did.
Yeah.
Like
all these things where you're like, oh, we're gonna do this, that. I'm just like, man, give me the big picture. Like, sell me on the big picture, and I'll get into that nitty gritty. And there was a lot of parts where, like, I'm Marvel, like, I'm all about it. There were parts where I was yawning. You know, like, I wanted, like, I'm interested. I want to learn about this Marvel game. And the way that it was described to me just had me yawning.
And so I think they did an excellent job then. Because here's the thing. You're not the market. You're not the market they're going for, I think, with this report. They're going for people like me who are like, oh, the mechanisms. I love the 1 to 4 out of the core box. Wow, okay, there's deck building and there's pre-constructed. Ooh, I can do what I want. And they're not trying to get you, the Target game buyer, the Walmart game buyer, you know, the occasional Barnes & Noble buyer. They're trying to get me, the guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to plump down the money. So I think,
makes sense.
Well, you're saying it's a con, which I would agree with. You're not wrong. I think it's actually a good omen that they are marketing to the people that would be interested in it. I think it's another way to look at it, where it's
definitely.
Because here's the thing, and here's an idea. What if it was a lot shorter? What if it was like a 1 minute teaser where it's just like, oh, please, and then you were like, oh, I'd love wanted more.
Well, I don't know about 1 minute seems constrained, but like, let's say maybe
2 minutes,
15 minutes. Let's say I could string
15-minute
15
video.
minutes.
Jesus.
Oh, just a 15-minute pitch, like for one game in 15 minutes.
I think he did that.
I don't think he did that.
I don't know.
The whole thing was very, very elongated to the point to where it was very noticeable that I was in a room full of people, elbow to elbow, coughing in silence between claps. That seemed kind of forced, and I hate to be that critical of people speaking about a game that I know that they spent time and effort and they put blood and sweat into that game. But when it comes to like announcing that and pitching that to a large crowd, I don't know if those skills carry over so well. And it turned into something where I was like, I don't want to be caught yawning right now because I like Marvel, like I like these games. I want to leave this room and go look at the games, like just get me out of here.
Yeah, and that you're not
please.
I think that's
get me out of this room.
Now another thing that I think makes it really interesting is the fact that there was probably 3 things that I was really interested in. And and everything else, I didn't care at all. But I was chomping the bits. Like you said, everybody was sitting in silence. I was like acting like, oh, that's cool. So that's going to be an element. So yeah, disagree to disagree. But yes, I think overall it's something that I'd recommend checking out just because it's really different and it's interesting and it's cool to see. But you can make your own decision on it. I personally like last year's show.
If you like those games, if you're already a fan of it and that's your thing, get it. Like, get in there. And it's a long line. They definitely cut that thing off, so I would say go early.
Or you don't just get your ticket. You just get the ticket. The tickets you get online, you get them way
You just gotta get it early.
Yeah.
You gotta get in there early.
But that was a Fantasy Flight.
It was full.
It
I
was.
can't argue with that.
It was a Fantasy Flight In-Flight 2019 report. Cutting you off a little bit early because I'm worried the camera's going to stop. But there you go. If it looks like it might be your cup of tea, be sure to check that one out. Support the channel. Click on the little Amazon Associates link down below. In the comments below.
What are you saying? Are you saying Amazon Associates? You're saying Amazon? We're gonna need some GoFundMe dollars.